63. I'm a structural engineer. Last month, I was hired to assess an old hotel in Virginia for renovation. The county blueprints show 8 floors. The hotel has 7. But the ceiling height between the 3rd and 5th floors leaves a gap of 11 feet that doesn't belong to any room, any hallway, any elevator shaft. There is a missing floor sealed inside the building. And when I found the way in, I discovered that someone has been living there. The food wrappers were fresh. The mattress was warm. And on the wall, in hundreds of lines of frantic handwriting, was a single sentence repeated over and over. Do not let them open the hotel again. He lives in the walls. The BELLMORE Hotel sits on Route 11 outside of Staunton, Virginia. Built in 1929, closed in 1987. It's been sitting empty for almost 40 years. 8 stories of brick, iron, and silence on the edge of the Shenandoah Valley. Beautiful building. Art Deco facade. The kind of place that used to mean something. A development company out of Richmond, Alcove Properties, purchased it in 2024 with plans to gut the interior and turn it into luxury apartments. Standard gentrification play. My firm was contracted to assess the structural integrity before demolition of the interior began. My name is Marcus. I've been doing this work for 14 years. Old buildings are my specialty. Keep a steady rhythm. I've crawled through condemned schools, decommissioned hospitals, bankrupt churches. Every old building has secrets. Sealed rooms, forgotten closets, bricked-over doorways. It's normal. The BELLMORE was not normal. Day 1. I arrived with my associate, Tyler, and a set of the original 1929 blueprints pulled from the Augusta County Records Office. Standard procedure. Compare the original construction documents with the current structure. Note modifications, flag concerns. We started on the ground floor. Lobby, ballroom, kitchen. Everything matched the blueprints. Second floor. Guest rooms, 16 of them. Long central corridor. Perfect match. Third floor, same layout. Guest rooms, corridor. We measured ceiling heights. 10-foot ceilings consistent with the era. Then we went to the 4th floor. The blueprints showed 8 floors. The elevator, a manual cage elevator original to the building, had buttons for floors 1 through 7, not 8. The stairwell also only went to 7. I assumed the 8th floor had been demolished at some point, maybe in the 50s or 60s, common enough. But when I measured the 4th floor ceiling height, something was wrong. The ceiling was only 8 feet. Every other floor had 10-foot ceilings. I measured again. 8 feet, 2 inches. I went to the 5th floor, directly above, measured from floor to floor using a laser measure through the stairwell. The distance between the 3rd floor ceiling and the 5th floor was 21 feet. 3rd floor ceiling, 10 feet. 5th floor to ceiling, 10 feet. That leaves 11 feet unaccounted for between the 2 floors. But the 4th floor, which sits between them, only had 8-foot ceilings. I did the math 3 times. There were 11 feet of space that didn't belong to any floor. I checked the blueprints again. The original 1929 drawings showed 8 floors with 10-foot ceilings each. Floor 4 was labeled Floor 4, Maintenance/Private. No room numbers, no layout detail, just a blank rectangle with the word Private stamped across it. Every other floor had detailed room layouts. Floor 4 was blank. Tyler looked at me. Hidden floor? Not hidden, I said. Buried. We spent the next 2 hours examining the 4th floor. 16 guest rooms, same as the other floors. But the rooms were smaller, lower ceilings, and the walls were wrong, too thick. I knocked on the interior wall of room 408. Solid, no hollow sound. I checked the blueprints. According to the original plans, the wall I was knocking on shouldn't exist. Behind it, there should be another 3 feet of space before the next room. I brought in a thermal camera. The wall behind room 408 showed a distinct temperature differential. The hidden space behind the wall was colder, significantly colder, than the surrounding structure. In a building with no active HVAC, no airflow, sealed for 40 years, there was no reason for a temperature difference. Unless there was open space behind it. A void, with airflow coming from somewhere. We found the access point on the 4th floor's east corridor, behind a janitor's closet that was too shallow for its position on the blueprints. The back wall of the closet was drywall, not the original plaster and lath that covered every other surface in the hotel. More suspicious. Someone had added this wall later, much later. The drywall mud was a modern compound, maybe 1980s, right before the hotel closed. Tyler and I pulled the drywall. Behind it, a steel door, industrial, heavy gauge. 3 deadbolts, all unlocked. The door opened inward. Behind the door, a staircase, narrow, metal, going up. We clop for corridor, not like the rest of the hotel. No carpet, no wallpaper, no Art Deco molding. Raw concrete floor, exposed brick walls, fluorescent tube lights mounted to the ceiling, dead, but relatively modern. 1970s fixtures, maybe 1980s. The corridor ran the full length of the building. On either side, doors, metal. Each one had a small rectangular window at eye height, thick glass, wired mesh inside. Like observation windows. Like a hospital or a prison. I counted 12 doors, 6 on each side. No numbers, no labels. I opened the first door. A small room, maybe 8 by 8 feet. Concrete floor, no window. A metal cot bolted to the wall. A drain in the center of the floor. On the wall, scratch marks, hundreds of them, grouped in sets of 5. Tally marks. I counted them. 412. If each mark represented a day, that was over a year. Every room was identical. Cot, drain, tally marks. Some had more marks than others. Room 6 had the most. I stopped counting at 1,000. This one matters. The last room on the left was different. The door was open. Inside, the cot had been dragged to the corner. In its place, a mattress. Relatively new. A sleeping bag. A backpack with food, canned beans, crackers, bottled water. A flashlight, batteries. With immediate unease, the food wrappers were recent. The water bottles had condensation on them. Pause. Someone was living here. Lower. Now. Emphasize impossibility. In a sealed floor of an abandoned hotel. Short, sharp. The mattress was warm. Tyler touched it and recoiled. Marcus, someone was just here. Slow, overwhelmed dread. On the wall, covering every inch from floor to ceiling, was handwriting. Black marker. Small, frantic, obsessive. Whisper or strained hush. Do not let them open the hotel again. He lives in the walls. Do not let them open the hotel again. He lives in the walls. Do not let them open the hotel again. Back to narration, shaken. Hundreds of times, maybe thousands. Some lines were shakier than others, written over days, maybe weeks. Different pressures, different states of mind. This is important. Slow down. In the bottom corner, in slightly larger letters, a different message. Read clearly with mounting dread. I am the last one who remembers. The fourth floor was never maintenance. It was containment. They kept him here. When the hotel closed, they sealed him in. He is still in the walls. He moves between the plaster. If you hear breathing behind the drywall, leave. Do not open room 12. I have been keeping it shut. Pause. Room 12. The last door on the right, the only one we hadn't opened. Slow footsteps feeling. I walked to it. The observation window was blacked out from the inside. Something had been pressed against the glass. Dark, fibrous, like hair. Packed tight against the window. Almost whisper. The handle was cold. Emphasize unnaturalness. Freezing. The same impossible cold I'd felt on the thermal camera. Very slow. I turned the handle. Dialogue tense, urgent. Tyler grabbed my arm. Marcus, don't. From behind the door, I heard breathing. Not muffled. Clear, as if the person's mouth was pressed against the crack between the door and the frame. Slow, deliberate, wet. Pause, then voice shift, darker, inhuman. Then a voice, low, guttural, not quite human, not quite language. Slow and unsettling. But I understood it. Not with my ears. Somewhere deeper. Somewhere in the base of my skull, the words formed. Deliver this in a distorted, intimate, predatory tone. You opened the wall. I can smell the hotel again. How many floors now? 7? That's enough room. That's so much room. Immediate danger. The door pushed outward. Just an inch. Against my hand. Something on the other side was pressing. We ran. Down the stairs, through the closet, down to the lobby. We didn't stop until we were outside, standing in the gravel parking lot, breathing Virginia air that suddenly felt like the cleanest thing I'd ever tasted. Reset. Practical. Tyler called Alcove Properties. I called the county. The county sent a building inspector the next day. I went with him. We went to the 4th floor. We found the janitor's closet. The drywall was back, intact, mud dried, painted over, as if we had never touched it. The inspector knocked on it. Solid. He looked at me like I was wasting his time. There's no hidden staircase, Marcus. This is a closet. I insisted. He let me pull the drywall again. I tore through it. Behind it, brick wall, original, 1929. No steel door, no staircase, nothing. But on the floor of the closet, in the dust, there was a fresh footprint. Bare, long-toed, too large. Same as the ones I'd seen in the dust upstairs. Prints that belonged to whatever was in room 12. The footprint pointed outward, toward the hallway, toward the rest of the hotel. The inspector didn't see it. He was already walking away. Shift to aftermath. That night, Alcove Properties sent a construction crew to begin interior demolition on the 1st floor. Standard gut job, sledgehammers and crowbars. Dark escalation. At 2 a.m., the foreman called Alcove's project manager. His voice was shaking. He said they'd torn open a wall in the old ballroom and found a cavity behind the plaster. A space about 3 feet deep running the full length of the room. Inside the cavity, scratch marks. Fresh, hundreds of them. And a smell, something organic, something alive. Build speed. He said they could hear movement inside the walls on the 2nd floor, then the 3rd, then the 4th, traveling upward. Fast. Cut hard. Then his line went dead. The crew was found the next morning sitting in their trucks in the parking lot. All 4 of them. Engine off, doors locked, eyes open. None of them could speak. Not wouldn't, couldn't. Medical evaluation found nothing wrong with their vocal cords. They simply could not form words. One of them, the youngest, a kid named Marco, could still write. He wrote 1 sentence on a napkin and handed it to the paramedic. It's not on the hidden floor anymore. It's on all of them. Alcove Properties canceled the renovation. The BELLMORE Hotel was resealed. County records were updated to show 7 floors. But I went back to the original 1929 blueprints one more time. I looked at the blank rectangle labeled Floor 4, Private. I hadn't noticed it before. In the margin, in tiny pencil, nearly invisible, the original architect had written a note. God forgive us. We didn't build this floor. It was here when we broke ground. We built the hotel around it. Whatever is inside was here before the foundation, before the town. It is older than the valley.
We cannot remove it. We can only contain it. Seal the 4th floor. Never open it. If the hotel must close, do not leave the 4th floor accessible. Brick it, weld it, bury it. It must never have room to move. The hotel closed in 1987. Someone sealed the door. Someone stayed behind to keep room 12 shut. For almost 40 years, they lived in the dark, on a hidden floor, keeping a door closed. And I opened it. I drive past the BELLMORE sometimes. I can't help it. Last Tuesday, at sunset, I counted the floors from the outside. 7, same as always. Then I blinked. 8. I blinked again. 9. The building is growing. For special unease. I'm an architect. I was hired to restore the Caraway Hotel in Savannah, Georgia. When I overlaid the original 1904 blueprints onto the current structure, nothing matched. Not the walls, not the hallways, not the stairwells. The building has been rearranging itself for 120 years. And last night, I found a room that appears on every version of the blueprints. 1904, 1937, 1961, 1989, but in a different location each time. The room moves. And according to every blueprint, it has always been occupied. The Caraway Hotel was built in 1904 by a cotton merchant named Silas Caraway. 6 floors, 92 rooms. Wrought iron balconies, marble lobby, grand staircase, the kind of Southern hospitality palace that made Savannah famous. It operated continuously until 2019, when it closed after a string of incidents the owners refused to discuss publicly. Lawsuits were settled quietly. Staff signed NDAs. The building sat empty for 5 years. My name is Graham. I run a small architectural firm in Charleston specializing in historic preservation. When a Savannah investment group purchased the Caraway for redevelopment, they brought me in to assess the structure and draft renovation plans. Standard job. I've restored dozens of historic buildings across the South. The first thing I do on any project is pull the original construction documents. For a building this old, that means digging through county archives, estate records, sometimes university collections.
For the Caraway, I found 4 complete sets of blueprints spanning its history. 1904, original construction by Silas Caraway. 1937, renovation after a partial fire. 1961, modernization, new plumbing and electrical. 1989, the last major update before closure. I spread all 4 sets across my drafting table and began the overlay comparison. That's when the job stopped making sense. The 1904 blueprints showed a symmetrical layout, central corridor on each floor, rooms on both sides, 2 stairwells, 1 elevator shaft. Clean, logical, exactly what you'd expect from the era. The 1937 blueprints showed the same building, but the east stairwell had shifted. Not relocated during renovation, the architect's notes made no mention of moving it. It was simply drawn 8 feet further east than the 1904 plans, as if the building had stretched. The 1961 blueprints were worse. The central corridor on the 3rd floor curved, slightly, maybe 2 degrees, but corridors in buildings don't curve unless they're designed to. The 1961 architect hadn't noted it, hadn't questioned it. He just drew what was there. The 1989 blueprints showed 14 rooms on the 4th floor. The 1961 plans showed 16. The 1937 plans showed 15. The 1904 originals showed 16. Rooms were appearing and disappearing between renovations, and not a single architect across 85 years had flagged it. I assumed errors, lazy draftsmanship. It happens with old buildings. Someone measures wrong, copies a wall in the wrong place. But 4 independent sets of blueprints, drawn by 4 different architects across a century, all showing a building that doesn't match any previous version of itself? That's not sloppiness. That's something else. I flew to Savannah to walk the building myself. My colleague, Nate, met me there. We arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. The investment group gave us full access, keys to every room, utility panels, maintenance areas, roof. The lobby matched no blueprint exactly. It was close to the 1989 version, but the front desk was 3 feet further from the east wall than the drawing showed. I measured twice. The marble floor tiles confirmed it. The original tile pattern aligned with the 1904 layout, but the walls around it had moved. The floor stayed. The building shifted around it. We went floor by floor. Every level had discrepancies. A hallway that should have been straight had a subtle bend. A room that should have been 12 feet wide was 14. A window that should have faced south faced southeast. Not by much, by just enough that you'd never notice unless you were measuring. The building was wrong in a way that felt organic. Not like construction errors, like growth. Like the hotel had been slowly, incrementally reshaping itself over a century, the way a tree grows around a fence post. On the 3rd floor, I found something that stopped me cold. Room 309. It was on the 1989 blueprints. I opened it. Standard guest room. Bed frame, dresser, faded carpet. But when I checked the 1961 blueprints, room 309 didn't exist. That space was part of a linen closet. On the 1937 plans, it was a section of hallway.
On the 1904 originals, it was the East Stairwell Landing. The room had moved. Across 4 sets of blueprints, drawn across 85 years, this room appeared in 4 different locations on 4 different floors.
And on every single blueprint, in small notation next to the room, regardless of its number or position, the same 2 words: permanent guest. I pulled the hotel's guest registries from the County Historical Society, leather-bound ledgers going back to opening day 1904. I searched for long-term residents, anyone who might qualify as a permanent guest. One name appeared in every ledger, every single one, from 1904 to 2019. Mr. E. Lowen. Check-in date, March 15th, 1904. Opening night of the hotel. No checkout date. Ever. For 115 years, Mr. E. Lowen was listed as an active guest of the Caraway Hotel. His room number changed: 412, 307, 515, 203, 309. But the name was always there. The same handwriting in the early ledgers, the same typed entry in later ones, the same digital record in the final years. No payment method on file, no home address, no identification, just the name and the room. I asked the investment group if they knew anything about a long-term resident. They forwarded me to the last general manager, a woman named Patricia, who had run the hotel from 2007 to 2019. She agreed to talk, but only by phone. She refused to meet at the hotel. Mr. Lowen's room was not to be entered, she said. That was the rule when I started. It was the rule before me. Every manager followed it. Did you ever see him? Silence. Once, in 2014, I was doing a walkthrough on the 3rd floor at midnight. His door was open, just a crack. The light inside was wrong, yellowish like gaslight, even though the hotel switched to electric in the 30s. I looked through the crack. What did you see? A man sitting on the edge of the bed, facing the wall. He was wearing a suit, old, formal, high collar, like something from 1904. He was sitting perfectly still, not breathing, not moving, just sitting. Then he turned his head, not his body, just his head, rotated it toward the door, toward me. His face was... Cuddy stopped. Patricia? His face was like a photograph that had been developed wrong. The features were all there, but the proportions were off. Eyes too high, mouth too low. Like someone had described a human face from memory, and he had arranged his accordingly. She hung up. She didn't answer when I called back. That night, Nate and I stayed late at the hotel. I wanted to find the current location of Lowen's room. According to the 1989 blueprints, it was room 309, but the building had been empty for 5 years. If the room moved, if the building rearranged itself, it could be anywhere now. We walked every floor, measuring, checking dimensions against the blueprints. On the 5th floor, at the very end of the east corridor, we found it. A door where the blueprints showed a solid wall. No room number, no placard, just a door, older than the others. Dark wood, a brass handle, green with patina. The air around it was different, warmer, and there was a smell, faint, sweet, floral, like perfume from another century. I put my hand on the handle. It was warm, not hot, body temperature, like something alive. I opened it.
The room inside was impossible. The dimensions were wrong. It was larger than the space allowed. The corridor wall behind us, the exterior wall of the building, the room extended beyond both. It was at least 30 feet deep. The hotel is not 30 feet wide at this point. The walls were covered in wallpaper, a pattern I recognized from photographs of the hotel's original 1904 interior. Gaslight sconces lined the walls, burning with actual flame. The carpet was pristine. The bed was made with crisp white sheets. On the nightstand, a glass of water. No dust. Someone was maintaining this room, or the room was maintaining itself. On the far wall, opposite the door, there was a mirror, floor to ceiling, gold frame. And in the mirror's reflection, I could see the room, but not us. Nate and I were not in the reflection. The mirror showed the room as if it were empty. Except it wasn't empty in the reflection either. A man was sitting on the bed, in the reflection only. I looked at the actual bed, empty. I looked at the mirror. A man in a dark suit, high collar, sitting on the edge of the bed, facing the wall, perfectly still. Nate grabbed my arm. "Graham, look at the mirror." "I see him." "No, look at the walls, in the reflection." I looked. In the mirror's version of the room, the wallpaper was different. It wasn't a pattern. It was writing. Tiny, dense, covering every surface. I stepped closer to the mirror. The text was names. Thousands of names. Dates next to each one. Guest names. Every person who had ever stayed at the Caraway Hotel, written on the walls of this room in the mirror's reflection. And at the bottom of the wall, the most recent entry. Graham Hartley, checked in, today's date. Nathaniel Voss, checked in, today's date. We hadn't checked in. We weren't guests. We were contractors. The man in the reflection raised his head slowly. His face, Patricia was right. It was wrong, assembled.
Like a composite sketch made by someone who had seen humans but wasn't one. He smiled. The smile didn't fit his face. It was too wide, and it split in the wrong places, like a seam opening. Escalate. He stood up. In the reflection, he walked toward the mirror, toward us. The glass began to fog from the inside. A hand pressed against it, from the other side. The glass flexed outward, like the TV screen in a nightmare, like something pushing through membrane. We ran, down the corridor, down 5 flights of stairs, through the lobby, out the front door. We sat on the sidewalk, gasping. Mate looked up at the building. "Graham, count the floors." I counted. 6, same as always. "Now count the windows on each floor." I counted. Floors 1 through 4, 16 windows each. Floor 5, 16 windows. Floor 6, 17. 1 extra window, at the far east end, where no room should be. And in that window, a faint yellowish light, gaslight, and a silhouette, standing, watching us. We left Savannah that night. I called the investment group the next morning and recommended they halt the project. I cited structural instability. I didn't mention anything else. They ignored me. They sent their own team, a demolition crew, to begin gutting the interior the following week. The crew lasted 1 day. On day 1, they knocked down a wall on the 2nd floor. Behind it, they found another room, fully furnished, gaslight burning. wallpaper intact, a bed with fresh sheets, a glass of water on the nightstand. They knocked down a wall on the 4th floor. Same thing, same room, identical in every detail. They opened a sealed utility closet in the basement. Inside, the same room, same bed, same wallpaper, same glass of water.
The room was everywhere, behind every wall, in every space they opened. The foreman called the investment group and said, "The building is full of the same room. Every cavity, every void, every sealed space, it's all the same room. And there's a glass of water in each one, and none of them have evaporated." The crew quit. The investment group pulled funding. The Caraway was put back on the market. But before the listing went up, I received a package at my office in Charleston. No return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper, a blueprint, hand-drawn. Draftsmanship was perfect, precise, elegant, unmistakably professional. It was a floor plan of my house, my home in Charleston. Every room, every dimension, accurate to the inch. But between my bedroom and my bathroom, in a space where my hallway closet should be, the blueprint showed a room that doesn't exist in my house, labeled in the same handwriting I'd seen on the 1904 Caraway blueprints. Mr. E. Lowen, permanent guest. And below it, in small, careful script, "Thank you for visiting, Mr. Hartley. I've decided to return the courtesy. I do hope you'll make me comfortable. I plan to stay." That was 3 weeks ago. Last night, I measured my hallway closet. It's always been 3 feet deep. It's now 4. And this morning, when I opened it, I found a glass of water on the shelf that I did not put there. It was still cold. I bought a condemned hotel at auction for $140,000. The listing said it was built in 1927. The county says construction was never completed. But the hotel operated for 61 years. Guests checked in. Guests checked out. Hundreds of reviews exist online. The building is real. I'm standing inside it right now. But according to every official record, this hotel was never finished being built. And last night, I found the construction crew. They're still here, still working, on a floor that only exists after midnight. My name is Ray. I flip commercial properties in the Midwest. Buy cheap, renovate, resell, or lease. I've done it with strip malls, office buildings, a bowling alley once. When the Whittaker Grand Hotel in Decatur, Illinois came up at a county tax auction, I jumped on it. 5-story brick hotel, downtown location, built in the 1920s. It closed in 1988, and nobody had touched it since. The bones were solid. The price was right. I figured 6 months of work, maybe a year, and I'd have a boutique hotel or apartment conversion worth 10 times what I paid. The problems started by the Macon County Records Office. Permit number 4471, issued June 12, 1926, to the Whittaker Development Company for construction of a 6-story hotel at 443 East Main Street. 6 stories. The building has 5. I asked the clerk for the certificate of occupancy, the document issued when construction is complete and the building is approved for use. She searched and searched. She called her supervisor. There was no certificate of occupancy. It was never issued.
"That means the building was never finished," she said. "Legally, no one should have ever occupied it. but the Whittaker Grand operated from 1927 to 1988, 61 years. I found newspaper advertisements, travel guides, a TripAdvisor page with reviews from the early 2000s posted by people reminiscing about staying there as children. The hotel was real. It existed. People slept there, ate in its restaurant, got married in its ballroom. And according to the state of Illinois, it was never completed. The 6th floor was never built. The certificate was never signed. Legally, the Whittaker Grand Hotel does not exist as a finished structure. I drove to Decatur to see it for myself. I arrived on a Friday evening. Downtown Decatur is quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear traffic lights change. The Whittaker Grand sat on the corner of East Main and Monroe, a 5-story rectangle of dark red brick with boarded windows and a faded sign above the entrance. Beautiful bones, Art Deco detailing, copper gutters green with age. I counted the floors from outside. 5. 5 rows of windows, 5 stories, consistent with every photograph I'd seen. But the roofline was wrong. The parapet, the low wall at the top of the building, was too tall, way too tall. At least 12 feet of brick above the 5th floor windows before the roof edge. On a building like this, the parapet should be 2, maybe 3 feet. This looked like it was hiding something, like there was space behind it. Another floor's worth of space, concealed behind a wall of brick with no windows. I went inside. The lobby was gutted, chandelier missing, front desk covered in plaster dust, floor tiles cracked but intact. I walked every floor. 5 floors of guest rooms, ballroom on the 2nd floor, restaurant space on the ground level. Standard layout. Everything matched the 1926 blueprints. Almost. On the 5th floor, at the end of the north corridor, there was a staircase. It went up. The stairs were concrete, original pour, same aggregate as the rest of the building. They rose 1 full flight and terminated at a wall, raw brick. No door, no frame, just stairs leading into a wall. The 6th floor staircase had been built, but the floor it led to had been sealed off, bricked shut. I knocked on the wall. Hollow, open space behind it. I pressed my ear against the brick. Silence at first. Then, and I told myself it was wind, pipes, the building settling. A rhythmic sound. Metal on metal. Faint, steady, like hammering. Like someone driving nails. I came back Saturday with tools. A pry bar, a masonry chisel, a headlamp, and my associate, Doug, who handles electrical and plumbing on my flips. I told him about the sealed staircase. He shrugged. Probably mechanical space. Old buildings hide HVAC equipment in weird places. We started chiseling at 10 a.m. The brick was original, hard, dense, well mortared. It took 2 hours to open a hole large enough to step through. Behind the wall, a floor. A full, complete 6th floor. Concrete slab, framed walls, plastered ceiling. A corridor running the full length of the building, rooms on both sides. It was built. Finished. Structurally complete. But it was wrong. The hallway was longer than the building. I measured it. The building footprint is 140 feet long. I confirmed it on the exterior. The 6th floor corridor was 190 feet, 50 feet longer than the structure that contained it. That is physically impossible. The rooms were numbered, but not sequentially. 601, 604, 609, 613, 621, 634. Random.
Gaps in the sequence, as if rooms existed between them that I couldn't see, or that hadn't been built yet. The walls were unfinished in places.
Some rooms had complete plaster, crown molding, even wallpaper, a deep burgundy floral pattern. Others were bare studs and exposed lath. One room had a fully tiled bathroom with a clawfoot tub. The room next to it was raw concrete with rebar sticking out of the floor. The 6th floor was in multiple stages of construction simultaneously. Some parts looked finished in 1927. Others looked like work had stopped mid-pour yesterday. Doug touched a section of exposed concrete in room 621. He pulled his hand back. "It's warm, Ray. This concrete is warm, like it was poured today." I touched it. He was right. Not hot, the gentle warmth of concrete that's still curing, still hardening, still new. In 2024, in a building sealed since at least 1927. We explored further. At the end of the corridor, the impossible end, 50 feet past where the building should stop, there was a freight elevator. Old cage-style, manual lever. The shaft went down, which made sense, but it also went up. There was no up. We were on the 6th floor. The roof was above us. I could see the underside of the roof deck, but the elevator shaft continued upward, through the roof deck, into darkness. As if the building kept going, as if there were floors above us that existed outside the physical structure of the hotel. Doug looked up the shaft and went pale. "Ray, I can hear people up there." I listened. He was right. Voices. Distant but distinct. Men's voices. The cadence of a work crew, short commands, call and response, the organized chaos of a construction site. And hammering. Steady, rhythmic hammering. Not one hammer, dozens. The sound of large-scale construction happening directly above us, above the roof of a building that has been abandoned for 36 years. A voice echoed down the shaft, clear enough to understand. "6th floor is almost done. Mr. Whittaker wants 7 through 12 framed by Friday." Floors 7 through 12. The building has 5 floors. The sealed 6th was the last one built. There are no floors 7 through 12. But someone, some crew, some team was building them, right now, above us, in space that doesn't exist. Doug backed away from the shaft. "I'm going downstairs. I'll be in the truck." I stayed. I don't know why I stayed. I wish I hadn't. But something about the sound, the hammering, the voices, the ordinary rhythm of men doing work made it feel safe, normal, like it was just another floor of an old building that needed to be documented. I found another staircase at the far end of the 6th floor, behind a door labeled Crew Access, Whittaker Development Company. The stairs went up. I climbed. With awe and dread. The 7th floor. Framed. Studs and joists. No plaster. No wiring. Raw lumber. Fresh lumber. I could smell the pine sap. Sawdust on the floor. Footprints in the sawdust. Boot prints. Dozens of them. Fresh. Tools leaned against the walls. A handsaw, a level, a carpenter's square. All period appropriate, 1920s tools. No power tools, no modern equipment. But the sawdust was wet. The wood was new. I climbed to the 8th floor. More framing, more sawdust. A lunch pail sat on a sawhorse, tin, dented, the kind workers carried in the 1920s. I opened it. Inside, a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. I unwrapped it. Fresh bread. The meat was still moist. Someone had left this here minutes ago. The voices were louder now, coming from above. I could make out individual conversations. Hand me that header. Watch your footing on 9. The joists aren't set yet. Whittaker says we don't stop until it's done. I climbed to the 9th floor, then the 10th. Each floor was progressively less finished. 9th had partial framing. 10th was just a slab with rebar and column forms. The building was being constructed upward in real time. On the 10th floor, I saw them. Men, a dozen, maybe 15, wearing wool trousers, suspenders, flat caps, 1920s work clothes. They were framing a wall, hammering, measuring, talking to each other in the flat nasal cadence of Depression-era Midwest dialect. None of them looked at me. I stood there for a full minute watching. They were real, solid, dimensional, casting shadows from the work lamps strung along the ceiling. I could smell their sweat. I could hear their breathing. Fun of them, older, heavy-set, with a foreman's demeanor, turned around. He looked at me, not through me, at me. He saw me. No shock, just dread. He didn't seem surprised. He seemed tired. "You the new owner?" I couldn't speak. I nodded. He sighed, set down his hammer, walked over. His boots crunched on concrete dust. He stopped 3 feet from me and looked me dead in the eyes. His face was pale, not sickly, drained, exhausted in a way that went beyond physical tiredness. "Yen, you need to know. We can't stop building. Mr. Whittaker's contract says the hotel has to be finished before we leave. Every time we finish a floor, he adds another. We've been building since 1926. We've built 37 floors. He keeps adding more." "Where is Whittaker?" I managed.
The foreman looked up, above us, into darkness that shouldn't exist. "He's at the top. He's always at the top, waiting for us to reach him. But every floor we finish, he moves up one more. We never reach him. We never finish. And we can't leave until the job is done." He paused, looked at me with something terrible in his eyes. Not anger, resignation. "We've been here 98 years, mister. Some of the boys don't remember their own names. I barely remember mine. We eat the same lunch every day. We drive the same nails. We frame the same walls. And every morning, if you can call it morning up here, there's a new floor to build." He leaned closer. "And now that you own the building, you're part of the contract too. Mr. Whittaker's contract transfers with the deed. Read the fine print, if you can find it. You won't be building with us. You'll be waiting, at the top, like he does. And someone new will buy the building, and someone new will come up these stairs, and you'll be the one they find. Cut all warmth, sudden darkness. The lights on the 10th floor went out, all of them, simultaneously. The hammering stopped. The voices stopped. Total silence. Total darkness. I ran. I don't remember the stairs. I don't remember the 6th floor. I don't remember anything until I was in the truck with Doug, driving out of Decatur at 90 miles an hour. I tried to forfeit the property. I called the county. I called a real estate attorney. I called the auction house. The auction house had no record of my purchase. The county had no record of a deed transfer. According to every official system, I never bought the Whittaker Grand. But I have the deed. It's in my filing cabinet. I'm looking at it right now. And there is fine print at the very bottom. In type so small I need a magnifying glass. It reads,
The undersigned agrees to assume all obligations of the Whittaker Development Company as outlined in the original construction contract, dated June 12, 1926. The property shall be considered under active construction until such time as all floors are completed to the satisfaction of the owner. The owner shall reside on the uppermost completed floor until construction is finalized. This obligation is non-transferable, except through sale of the property, at which time the current owner shall assume the role of permanent resident, uppermost floor, in perpetuity. I didn't sign this. My signature is not on the deed. But someone's is. In the signature line, in handwriting that is unmistakably mine, my exact hand, my exact slant, my exact way of crossing T's, is my full legal name. I went back to Decatur last week, just to look, just to count the floors from outside. The building has 6 rows of windows now. It had 5 when I bought it. And last night, from my apartment in Springfield, 70 miles away, I woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of hammering, coming from above my ceiling, in my top floor apartment. Steady, rhythmic, nails being driven into wood. I went up to the roof this morning. There's nothing there, but there's sawdust in my hair and a splinter in my palm that I didn't put there. And under my pillow, a note, written on yellowed paper in ink that smells like 1926. Welcome to the top floor, Mr. Dalton. The crew will reach you soon. Please be patient. We've been building for 98 years, but I think floor 38 will be the last one. I've thought that every time. Yours truly, S. Whittaker. There was a P.S. added in a different hand.
Shakier, older, desperate. He said that to me too. There is no last floor. There is no top. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. The previous owner. I've put the building up for sale, cash only, as is, no inspection, the low market value. Someone will buy it. Someone always does.